Resolving your inner conflict is a crucial step for your spiritual journey. How you gonna win if you ain't right within? I mean, think about it. Imagine your inner world and imagine that you are split in between the conscious version of you and then the unconscious or the subconscious version of you. If those two versions of yourself are clashing, one believes one thing, the other believes another, then that's like having a ship with two captains. That's like having a company with two CEOs. There's gonna be constant bickering and back and forth, and nothing will ever get done. Basically, you have to be whole in order to get where you need to go in life. How you gonna win if you ain't right within? One can't serve two masters, for he will love one and despise the other. Matthew 6:24. And when you really unpack what that means, you can't be drawn to two different focuses at once. We can't really truly give 100% to either thing because we're trying to do both. Like imagine hunting, and by chasing both rabbits or whatever you're hunting, both will get away. You have to focus on one thing at a time and truly give it your all, one step at a time. There's nuance with all of that because for some people at some points in their life, they, for example, work a 9 to 5 while building their startup on the side. The key thing to remember about that is that is a temporary state, and it's not like they're going to be doing both forever. Eventually, one is going to have to subside for the other to rise. When it comes to inner conflict, no other character embodies this as well as Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. When we first see him in the show, you know, he's all about his honor. Gotta restore my honor, gotta capture the avatar. He believes that capturing the avatar is the only way to have his honor restored. He believes that if only I can just bring back the avatar, then I'll be accepted by my father, then I'll be happy. And even when he is welcomed back home later on in the show, he's more angry than ever. And I think it's because he didn't realize that he walked the path not of his own choosing. He walked the path that was laid out for him by someone else. And see, this is the power of self-knowledge right here. With the help of his uncle, who encouraged him to go within and find what that internal path is, what that unique path for Zuko is. It was only then till he realized that. And after realizing his grandfather on his mother's side was actually the avatar of previous generation, then he realized, oh, I'm walking the wrong path. So the key in Zuko's case was definitely having someone in his corner that he could go to. And I get that not everyone has that. Not everyone has that. Someone they can turn to for guidance. Well, that's part of why I created this channel in the first place, you know, just to form a community of people, like-minded people where we can talk about these things. So comment down below. Yeah, like I created this channel in order to just create that engagement, foster that community, foster that guidance for someone who is in Zuko's shoes right now, but doesn't have an Uncle Iroh. You know what I'm saying? So the key to resolving Zuko's inner conflict was definitely going within, doing that internal work and asking himself, what is it that he truly wants, and realizing that he was on a path that was laid out for him by someone else. That's why when he walked that path that wasn't for him, went further down the path enough in order to see some success according to the path, then it just didn't feel right within him. And this is why he couldn't lightning bend, because in order to lightning bend, you had to let that energy flow through you. But because his inner world was so conflicted, when the lightning entered his being, it just exploded in his face because he wasn't right within. But it wasn't until he healed his inner world that he was able to actually finally lightning bend and redirect it successfully. Key to is really going within, doing that internal work and asking yourself, what is it that you truly want and why? And dig deep, really ask yourself why. And then whatever answer you come up with, ask yourself why again. Keep doing that until you really get to the root of why you want the things you want, your motivations, what motivates you, what inspires you. You see what I'm saying? Self-help channels on YouTube created a paradigm in my mind that in order to become a select man, a chosen man, a chosen, I believe that if only I could stop doing this or never do this again, then I'll become the version of Hamza that I thought I needed to be. And in going to therapy, I realized that, you know, when we talk about addiction, there's really things that take a hold on our lives and that affect our lives, our health, our finances to a severe degree that it interferes with our everyday life. And I thank God that it never got to this point. So basically, going to therapy helped me realize I don't really have a problem. My problem is my mentality towards it. My problem is my attitude towards the thing, and how that's affecting how I view myself and how I view women and how I view others in general. Because watching that stuff, it really does take a hold on how you view the world and view other people around you, especially if you really do have a problem and you do it multiple times a day, every day. It's to the point where it's interfering with your day-to-day. You sneaking out of class to go do it, going to the bathroom at work to go do it, in your car going to, okay, then you have a problem. Then it's really starting to take a toll on the chemical makeup of your brain even. I had to define my own path. I won't hate myself because I can't maintain your standard of perfection. It's all mental. You're going off of what you heard from someone else. What I found was that by no longer hating myself, by not living up to the standard of perfection that I set for myself, I realized that even though I would fall into that habit, I'm still able to be creative. I'm still able to have motivation. I'm still able to have the drive to work out consistently, to still eat healthy, to not fall into other bad habits. I'm still able to bounce back in other areas of my life. That sounds like copium. You're just telling yourself whatever you want to hear to cope with the fact that you lack the discipline and the self-control to become a better version of yourself by not doing it, by abstaining from that activity. I'm saying that in trying to stop watching it, I'm no longer hating myself along the way, along the journey to stopping it. So that still is my goal. The resolution to my inner conflict is no longer holding on to that self-hatred, guilt, and shame associated with not being able to stop doing it. We have to realize that we have to be patient with ourselves and our struggles, like God is patient with us in our faith, in our lack of faith, in our times of sin, in our times of temptation. And when we do fall, God is still patient with us. So why aren't we patient with ourselves? Like, imagine if you were in a relationship with someone who constantly brings up your mistakes and constantly holds them over your head like a guillotine. And then whenever you make a mistake, or if you want to express yourself in some way, that person just brings the guillotine down immediately. You wouldn't want to be with someone who does that to you. So why do you do it to yourself? When I realized that I was doing it to myself, I was like, damn, I need to really stop hating myself because I struggle with this thing. We all have struggles and vices to varying degrees with different things. So why should I hate myself for being human? Why not just choose to enjoy life? Why not just choose to realize that, okay, even though I'm struggling with this, I can still do X, Y, and Z. I can still have a fulfilled life. I can still experience love and have love. I can still be the man who I need to be and live to the fullest degree in accordance with which the man that God intends me to become. Really look at what you've been told, what you heard from someone else with a critical eye. See, with the path that was laid out for me was the path that I saw worked for others, the YouTubers and self-help channels. But the thing with that is, at the end of the day, you got to find what works for you. Everyone's journey is unique. The same way that Zuko resolved his inner conflict by going within, I also went internally as well. And I had to get very honest with myself. I had to really ask myself, how is this really affecting my life? What am I doing that is making this situation worse? What could I change in order to improve the situation? Because at the end of the day, I say 85 to 90% of it is mental. Like, when I would fall back into watching the hub and I would get so down on myself, then I wouldn't have the motivation to create, go to the gym, do all the things I know I need to be doing. And it would become like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I would fall back into the bad habit and then just psych myself out, and that would reinforce that negative feeling, that negative frequency. Then I would feel even worse. But now that I have resolved my inner conflict, I am more whole. I'm more able to bounce back. I'm not beating myself up when I mess up. I'm not constantly shaming myself like how I used to. And so I'm able to bounce back and still have that positive reinforcement within myself in order to maintain that motivation and the creative energy to be creative, and still retain the motivation to go to the gym and do all the things that I want to do. So my message to y'all is, whatever inner struggle that you're having, definitely get help first. Seek therapy, seek a professional opinion, because it's very easy to get caught up in the subjective bias and be so caught up in your perspective that from an outsider, they could have the perspective that you actually do have a problem, but you wouldn't see that because you're in it. Also, journal, self-reflect, write down your thoughts and emotions and record them over time, and then look back at them and see how they evolve over time. And then you'll start to notice certain patterns with how you're feeling, what your thought process is like. Be brutally honest with yourself, because that's the only way that this will work. Is you really have to be brutally honest with yourself and how it's affecting you What are your thoughts and emotions? What insights or realizations will help you resolve this or change, have a different mindset or perspective, view the situation from a different angle in order to see it differently? That's the importance of having a professional opinion too, is that they can see things that you may not be able to see. You need the outside perspective in order to have a fully holistic, unbiased view of the situation. Then from there, you'll be able to determine the best plan of action to take.